Welcome to The Ordinary Show. Today we have David. He's the director of Fulton County for Arts and Culture.
I want to thank you for having me. I'm excited to be on your show.
So, David, tell me about yourself, how you grew up, where you grew up, and what made who you are today.
Well, I grew up in Birmingham, Alabama. I was born in Heidelberg, Germany, believe that or not. And I grew up in Birmingham, went to school in Birmingham, went to a performing arts school, the Alabama School of Fine Arts, received a scholarship to come to Atlanta College of Art to study graphic design and advertising, and just fell in love with the creative city, and I've been here ever since.
Wow, so you were always a very creative and artistic person.
Well, it kind of hit me at the age of the 7th grade. One of my teachers called on me to do the backdrop for a school play. And then I found myself in a room of 4 other guys who were all creative. We all knew how to draw. We all made the honor roll. So we were the smartest guys in our class, but we always was creative. And the teacher ended up calling us the art boys. So anytime any teacher had a program or something that needed a backdrop or a poster or something like that, they would call on the art boys, and I was one of them. And from there, the passion and the creativity of being able to create on paper just stayed with me. It was an outlet for me, and it was something that I could own and be creative while I was living in the community that I was living in, growing up without a father, a single mom who worked a lot.
Wow.
Art became my babysitter. It became my motivation. And to this day forward, I really try to help and motivate others.
I understand. Oh, wow. So you grew up without a father and from a single mom. That must be a journey itself.
It is, because as a young man, when you grow up without a father in the household and you're around other kids who have 2-parent household, it becomes challenging. You grow up with, and it's kind of hard to describe, but you grow up with this kind of fear inside. That fear can be from everything. It can be from whatever life hits you. It can be from seeing your mama struggle, to pay her bills or that kind of thing. So you grow up with that, and you realize that you don't have a safety net. And so every decision you make, it has to be a calculated decision, because you don't have a safety net to catch you.
Wow.
When you come from a family who is not a 2-parent household.
Yeah. So as the Fulton County art director, tell me, what is your vision and what are you doing under your leadership?
Well, Fulton County is the largest county in the state of Georgia. And we reach everywhere from Serenbe to Alpharetta and everywhere in between, including the city of Atlanta. And so my goal as the director of arts and culture is to make sure that everyone has access to the arts. A big part of what I do is also fund artists and creatives. Fulton County has a department called Contract for Services that I oversee, and it gives out funds to nonprofit organizations that are really trying to create a platform for creatives.
Wow, this is a lot to. So I also heard that you actually got a film festival award in 2023. Can you put some light on that?
Yes, it was the Peachtree Film Festival, and I was given the Tommy Ford Award. And if you're familiar with Tommy Ford, he was a character on the show Martin. But Tommy was much more than that. He was a mentor. He worked in film. He worked with young people. He worked in the community. He helped build community with his creativity. And so when I received that award, I was very honored because I knew him personally. We had worked on a couple of projects together. And anytime you can receive an award from someone else's great work and you be put in that category, it's not just an honor, it's a blessing.
So I want to move from your career part to more of a deeper story of yours. So I know you are a big supporter of families and organ donor. What is the story behind that?
So I've always been motivated by strengthening families. I used to be an educator in the Atlanta public school system. I taught 2nd grade, and I taught 2nd grade in a school that was in one of the worst areas in Atlanta. It was right down the street from the federal pen, not the state pen, but the federal pen. It was right around the corner from a strip club. There were about 4 liquor stores. So these kids had to walk past that every day.
Wow.
in an area that there was no grass and just broken liquor bottles. To get to school, to get to the classroom, to get to see some of my creative skills, they had to go ahead and go through all of that. And many of those kids were from single family homes. And so I've always had a passion for family. Now, fast forward, about 10 and a half years ago, I got very, very sick. Never really been sick before in my entire life. And all of a sudden, I had liver and kidney failure.
Liver and kidney failure?
Liver and kidney failure. I remember going into the hospital, and they're still trying to figure out what was wrong with me. They gave me a cup and say, use the cup. And when I used it, my urine came out looking like Coca-Cola.
Wow.
And I said, what's going on? I thought it was something that I ate or something like that. They immediately put me in the emergency room and later in ICU. I was in ICU for 40 days. My body was shutting down.
Days.
Yeah. My skin turned as black as your mic. My eyes were fluorescent. My body was shutting down. My kidneys and my liver was failing. And I got to a point that it was so bad that my body was regaining water. So I went from 217 pounds to 240 pounds in a few days.
That's
because
your body was gaining water, wasn't leaving. Yes.
Exactly. And I remember people coming in my room, asking me, did I have a will? In my mind, I was like, get out of my room. I'm not receiving that. I'm going to live. They came in and asked me, did I want to be on the donor list? I didn't even know much about being on the donor list. So my first response was, no, I don't want to be on the donor list. I don't need an organ.
Exactly.
I'm okay. And then it got so bad to where your mind started playing tricks on you because you're so sick. Your body is so sick that it's almost like the ammonia sets into your mind. And I remember seeing my sons come in the room, and I started giving them a hug and apologizing, saying, I'm sorry I won't see you graduate from college. I'm sorry I won't be at your wedding. I didn't know I was going to get dealt this hand, but, this is where we are. And I remember that night I said this prayer because when you're in a hospital and you can't move, you're looking at these fluorescent lights. And if you stare at them long enough, it seems like they illuminate the whole room. And that was my opportunity to really have a conversation with God. And I shared with God, I'm not ready to leave. I'm not ready to stop being a father, but I'm in so much pain because they were coming into the room every hour, giving me needles, pills, everything. And I said, I'm not ready to leave, but I'm in so much pain that if you say this is my time, I will accept it. About 3 or 4 hours later, I heard a loud noise. And I remember the nurse coming in, and I asked her, I was like, what is that loud noise? And she came in with tears in her eyes, and she said, Mr. Manuel, that's a helicopter with your liver and your surgeon on it. You going to surgery tomorrow. You're going to live.
Oh.
Yeah.
That was a miracle.
That was a miracle. And so the next day, I had a 9.5-hour surgery. I got a successful liver transplant. And I found out who made the decision to give me the best gift you can give anyone, which is the gift of life. And it was a family that lives in Scotts, Louisiana.
Wow.
And their 21-year-old son had a seizure and found himself in a coma. And on the third day, he passed away. And they made a decision to say he was so full of life, I'm going to donate his organ. So 6 men received this organ. There's a man walking around now that can see because he has Dylan eyes. The 2 men are alive because one has his heart and one has his lungs. 2 men have his kidneys and I have his liver.
Wow. So 6 men are living because of that one man.
That one
and
man.
The decision that his parents took.
That one decision. That's one decision. Yeah.
And that is a miracle. And truly overwhelmed my heart.
So for the rest of my life, I promote strengthening families and organ donor awareness. And that's why I created the nonprofit I'm a Father. We do a big 5K every year. We just had our 5K Saturday. Over 500 people were there. But it's about strengthening families and promoting organ donor awareness because 22 people die every day waiting on a life-saving organ. 60% are African-American Hispanic. We need the organs, but a lot of times we don't want to register to be an organ donor.
Because that organ, somebody could give them eyes, as you said. You got a liver, and now you can say your child graduating. Did you see your son graduating?
I saw him graduate from Ohio University. He's dating a young lady that he's crazy in love with. And my oldest son is now working in Fulton County and just doing big things. My daughter is doing a lot of good work at the Boys and Girls Club. And so I got a chance to see all of that.
And you can still do so much for the people and for this country and for this county.
That's right.
With all the new life God gave you.
That is right. You never know. When you register to be an organ donor, you never know who's going to receive that organ. It might be the next president, or it might be the next person who cures cancer. You never know.
You never know.
Right.
And you never know whose life is about to be taken and whose life is about to be given back to him.
Exactly.
Where you were just thinking, okay, God, if this is my time, I'm ready. But God said no.
No, he said, no, we still have work to do. And so I wake up every morning not only being thankful and grateful, but also not getting too low, not getting too high, kind of staying even, because I know there's a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
He didn't save me just for me to go back to work and be the average person. He saved me to have an assignment, and that assignment is to help others. And I want to make sure I get an A on that report.
I love that, actually. So I wish I could, hear more about your story, but what legacy would you like to leave behind? And which I believe you've done a lot, but before you leave this world, what is what you want to do behind?
That's a great question. And a lot of people always ask, what do you want to be remembered for? What do you want to leave behind? And my answer is, people are going to take whatever they need to take from the time you were here. I don't really focus on what I want to leave behind. I'm more focused on what I'm giving today. I feel that the more and more I give each day, people are going to get enough to where when I'm not here, they're going to have something, some sort of nugget, some sort of inspiration to carry on through those tough moments. So for me, it's not necessarily about leaving something behind. It's about taking advantage of the here and now. And I try to do that every day.
Thank you so much. That's beautiful said. And I'm going to take that, those words from you to my heart. What we do every day, every single day in this world is what we want to leave behind.
That's right.
Thank you so much, David. It was a very, very inspiring story. It's a very, very heartfelt story. Thank you so much to be on my platform.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. Thank you for having me.